Hello and welcome. It's Career Coaching After Hours, and I'm still your host, John Davidson. And here we are, it's episode 31, June 2026. The music should be kicking in any moment. And this is a really special episode. In a way, I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing one in years past, but a congratulations to the class of 2026 is in order. So I'm getting the feeling I might make this into an annual project, but it's not uncommon that I get asked by either colleges or universities or schools to be a mentor or a coach, or sometimes a panelist or an expert of some kind. And so many of my clients end up doing some kind of retraining or going through a graduation ceremony of their own, or, as it's not too uncommon, where my clients have a child who's finishing up either high school, or maybe they've got an adult child who is finishing up college or university. Maybe it's a bachelor's or an associate's or a master's or a doctorate, what have you. So it is June, and that's the season for congratulations. So this is a message that is a little bit of an overarching message to anybody who's graduating in 2026. And so whatever that credential is, whatever you powered through, kudos to you. Congratulations. Here's a fist bump and a fist pump. So Lizzie will be joining me here, my pet bearded dragon, in spirit. But as usual, this series is audience agnostic, so I'm probably not your career coach or career counselor. So I hope you find it useful and interesting in that context. And yes, you should be hearing some wonderful music here in the background. And consider, if you will, maybe seeing your own career coach, career counselor, somebody to help you if you have questions about career development or professional development. This is a series that I started to help me process some of the issues that I deal with, but also to provide some good kind of general wisdom as I get asked to help folks with a whole bunch of issues related to career development in those realms. So let's dig on in, and feel free to check your sources. I'll add in some notes here as I post this up online. So as I said, congrats, class of 2026, and this year I didn't get asked to do any commencement speeches, so we've seen a lot of that this year here in 2026, especially with college graduations, where people are getting booed off the stage, where well-known executives come in, or people come in to do a graduation speech or a lecture of sort or a presentation and get asked to do that commencement. And 2026 has been quite a roller coaster. We're finished up with this year, and I always think it's interesting when folks go through a graduation ceremony, and a lot of times folks don't remember what was said anyway. There's just so much going on in the moment. Either you're grabbing that diploma or that degree. I've certainly been there myself. I couldn't tell you who any of my commencement speakers were. And I have 3 college degrees, and I did finish up high school, even though I had to go to 5 of them. Youch. But as usual, I think it's helpful to consider the source. So, am I qualified to give anybody advice? Well, I think so. I think over the years I've helped hundreds of humans tell their stories as a career coach, as a career counselor, as a profiler, somebody who's been profiling working humans since my high school days, for crying out loud. But also, from maybe an academic perspective, I have racked up hundreds of volunteer hours over the years, working with humans of all ages, but different elementaries, middle schools, high schools, and then colleges and universities. So there's a bit of a list. So to say that I might be qualified might be true, but feel free to look through my credentials and so on. But if you notice, the setting here is definitely more of an after-hours setting, as in this is more me talking to a small group of humans more directly, maybe more frankly, than what you hear in a commencement, which is so often maybe congratulatory and maybe with a little bit of wisdom sprinkled in here and there. But I'll go through about 7 different points, and then I'll wrap it up with some advice, if that's okay. First and foremost, congratulations. So I don't give a bleep what you're celebrating, whatever that might be. I've been to high school graduations, college graduations, and just about everything in between, academies, and even when I used to work for the drug court, watching folks who had cleaned up their lives and sobered up. I mean, there's so many different flavors and variations of what a graduation can be. A lot of times we think it's either high school or college, but a lot of folks don't do that. A lot of folks go to different types of institutions. And whether that's a trade school or whether that's the military, whatever you've wrapped up and you're a class of something, a military academy, what have you, or you finally crossed a chasm in your life and you had a cohort of people. Congratulations. If you're a class of 2026 in anything, whether it's an apprenticeship, an academy, whatever that is, it was probably a hard-fought victory, and hopefully you weren't alone. And you had some folks that you were able to celebrate with, kind of thing. So June is the season of achievements, and school's out, and no, I'm not going to sing the Alice Cooper song. So, like I say, I'll continue with my kind of after-hours approach here as we celebrate in this gymnasium here together with our small audience. But maybe something that does deserve some discussion isn't just congratulations, that's great, but yeah, recognize the work, be proud of it. I'm amazed by how many folks get a wonderful credential, whether it's a degree or a certification, certificate, and they don't frame it, or they can't lay their hands on the thing. I mean, maybe it's worth a $5 frame. Maybe it's worth, oh my gosh, a $10 frame. You knocked it out. Cool. Nice. Hopefully somebody signed the thing. Hopefully there's some kind of at least self-recognition. You picked up the weights, you lifted them, you pointed to a mountain or a journey, and you did it. So nice work. And I've said this many, many times. This is kind of one of my more metaphysical or philosophical points of view, is that whether it's high school or college or grad school, whatever you've gone through, an apprenticeship, maybe what you're purchasing is time more than anything else. Time to get to know yourself and explore what you like and what you're good at, and maybe even a little bit of both. So whatever you graduated, high school, college, a drug court, something else, nice work. And yeah, I'm pointing at you. Nice work. So with the good news comes a little bit of nudging. So not to elbow anybody too hard, but whatever credential you just knocked out, it probably won't be enough. And frankly, I wish the folks that I met in high school and college would have been a little tougher, because even when I finished up an associate's, that was just punching my ticket to go get a bachelor's, and a bachelor's is just punching my ticket to go to law school or something beyond. So you could make a really good argument that high school diplomas and even apprenticeships and academies we live in a world that's highly competitive, and credentials are nice and achievements are nice, but you might need to keep going and keep pushing, and maybe even keep that credential sharp, like doctors and lawyers and engineers and mechanics so often have to get a credential and then stay sharp. But it's nice when the institution taps you on the shoulders and says, nice work. That's great. And if you're lucky, you've got some people who want to take a picture with you or take you out to eat maybe. But you're probably going to have to keep going even after this season is done. Fourth, recognize your time and place. So as usual, class of 2026, none of you are mine. None of my kids are graduating this year, that kind of thing. Mine in the metaphorical sense even. But it's a really interesting time. So 2026, for example, if you're graduating high school or college or trade school or what have you, something along those lines, I mean, your cohort wrangled with COVID. That wasn't but 6 years ago. And being a student, as I've said many, many times, has been difficult for years now. And I really believe it's more difficult than ever to be a student and a young human. So considering how many high school students go to classes with bulletproof plates in their backpacks, and even now in elementary and middle schools and high schools all over the country are struggling with cell phones and social media and having their cell phones taken away, while we have young adults stashing Narcan in their lockers to prevent an overdose. And you've got teachers struggling with AI and the world struggling with all of it. AI and wars and these massively uncertain times. So quite a bit different than when I graduated, to say the least. And I don't know if it's any better these days. Fifth point of advice, if you can call it that, don't fear the mirror. So one of the methods that I developed over the years is this idea of a mirror and a compass being useful in conjunction. So I talk to folks about the mirror, looking in the mirror, figuring out who you are. So I'm not going to try to BS you or baloney you or buffalo you on some kind of concept like you should follow your strengths. If you don't enjoy doing what your strengths are, that might not be a good fit for you. There's a school of thought on that. And then there's another school of thought that says follow your passions and just do what you love doing and you'll never work a day in your life, and that might not be a good move either, because as much as I like to play guitar, I'm terrible at it. So you could make a good argument that looking in the mirror takes a lot of guts, and there's nothing wrong with taking a gap year, doing some traveling, and as I love to elbow folks, and even myself, to remind myself to pick up that journal once in a while. And don't be afraid to look in the mirror and assess yourself and be real with yourself. Or even ask others for advice around who you really are. So the other side of that equation might be the compass. How do we map out a position forward? I mean, it literally blows my mind when I work with professionals in high schools and colleges, and so many of my clients can't remember who their guidance counselor was in high school or college, or even if they had one. And incredibly rare they can remember a name even. And sometimes what's even more depressing sometimes, or even sadder, is maybe even being able to remember a teacher or a professor or an instructor who actually was willing to pull them aside and have a non-academic discussion. So write your dang goals down. I think it says damn in the presentation. So excuse my terrible language, but I'm of the opinion that humans matter. So that means you matter, and thus your goals matter. And I think that's formal logic speaking. You matter, your goals matter. Simple enough, but getting them written down is so rare. And I work with all kinds of wonderful, bright, talented, epic humans, and their goals are trapped in their head. And maybe that's helpful to get that out on a sheet of paper or out in a conversation. Your North Stars, well, what are they? Notice how I said star? And stars separately, and also plural, as in you can have one, you can have both. So there you go. And it's perfectly okay to assemble a board or a council or a team of humans, by the way. You may need to, whether that's parents or guardians or teachers or instructors. So I'd like to believe if you're celebrating some kind of a credential or you're graduating something, that there were people around you that want to see you do something with this credential or do something at this crossroads, whether I'm a part of that or not. Seventh, and we're almost done. This is going to be a brief one. This world is fraught with challenge. All the classic graduation books may not help you explicitly, but maybe give them a try. And so here are some books that I've nudged clients of all ages to either read or even reread throughout my career and throughout my practice as being a career coach and a career counselor, a mentor, a trainer. Who Moved My Cheese? Who doesn't love reading about mice and the metaphor of what is your cheese and who the heck moved it? And what are you going to do when it gets moved for you and you're going through a maze? Randy Pausch in The Last Lecture. What do you do when you realize your time is very, very limited here on this planet? What would you do if you knew something was in fact your last lecture? It's an interesting book, well worth reading. And one I think gets forgotten all the time is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. A deeply philosophical book. I think defining what's important and taking a break, taking a step back, taking some deep breaths. A classic one that's given to folks at all different stages and ages is What Color Is Your Parachute? And I don't agree with all of it, of course, but it's a classic book about navigating career search and what's next. The Art of War, I think, is helpful in terms of sharpening yourself. I could certainly mention there are so many books on Ikigai and finding that what's in that paradigm for you, what you're good at, and what you enjoy doing. But there's so many books out there in terms of how to start a business and how to manage your money, finding a niche, trying to figure out who you are. Lots of them out there, from psychologists to business professionals, what have you. But don't forget about your own book. And I think I said that a little bit earlier. I think it's really important to buffer all of that with a sense of self and journaling, professional journaling. So it's okay to write your goals down, but also perfectly okay to map towards those goals. A few quotes, and I'm going to keep it real short. 3 and only 3. The first one, don't be a statistic. Don't be a statistic. That was advice given to me in 7th grade, Mr. Hahn. Public health and biology teacher. And you could take a room full of 20 people or 200 people, and you could probably map out the statistics. How many will make it to retirement? How many might perish in a car crash? It gets real scary real quick when you start looking at raw numbers and raw statistics. And I actually think he gave a damn when he said that to us, is don't be a negative statistic at least. But don't be unaware of some of the dangers that are out there. But protect yourself, take care of yourself, be healthy. Take breaks, visit the doctor. Yeah. I'd like to be able to collaborate with him again one day. Another quote that I really like, that for the life of me I can't find who it's truly attributed to. Live your dash. And when I've had to preside over a funeral here a few years ago, I mentioned this quote. It's this idea that if you look at a gravestone, for example, you've got a certain start year and you've got an end year. And in between those 2 years is a dash. Year A and year B. The year you're born and the year you pass. And between those 2 points is a dash. Live your dash. Live that dash, that dotted line. That's your time. That's what you get. No more and no less. Live your dash. The first time I really heard this quote and where it stuck was actually a documentary about death row inmates. It's very sad, very depressing in its own way, but for some reason that quote stuck with me. Live your dash. That is your time. It's valuable. Last one, notice how none of these are mine, is usually attributed to Jim Rohn, and there are different versions of this or variations. And so he loves to say, if the why is powerful, the how is easy. As in, if you have goals that are relevant and heavyweight enough, figuring out how to do it might just be the easy part. I say it a little bit differently. If the why is strong enough, if there's enough to move that needle, then the how is easy. You say you want to get a high school diploma or a college degree or finish an apprenticeship or start a business. If you have powerful reasons to do it, getting it done is probably a matter of connecting some dots. And will be difficult, but maybe easier if the why is clearer and relevant to you. It's a wonderful quote. It's very powerful. So, Godspeed, class of 2026. Do well. Take care. Be well. Congratulations. Sorry I couldn't see the ceremony with you this year. So, there we be. Hey, I got through that. All right. So, I appreciate you listening. I enjoyed putting the presentation together. Maybe I'll be a panelist again this year, work with some more young humans going after new degrees and new diplomas. So, maybe I'll see you back here 2027. Class of 2027, is it coming up? Sure is. So thank you for joining me, and let me know what you think. Am I on target? Am I on base? Or off base, excuse me. But I appreciate your comments and commentary very much. So take care. Feel free to share this. Feel free to reach out if I can be of service or be of help. And I appreciate you putting up with me and my musical tastes. Wonderful musicians there helping out in the background. And no, I didn't play Pomp and Circumstance. No, wasn't going to do that. But thank you to all of you, listeners, clients, supporters. Great work this year, and absolutely feel free to share this with a grad if you think it'll help them. I'd appreciate that, and maybe they would too. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.